What's up, peeps? It's me. I'm back. How you doing? Alright, so it's time to get fired up today. This is a little ditty right here in the background. Maybe you might know this song. Maybe you might be able to sing that to me later. But right now, we're going to talk about how to set up and solve some proportions. Setting up and solving proportions is today's topic, so let's get into it. What do you say? Alright, so first thing we're going to talk about is how you identify if it's a proportion or not. How do you know if it is a proportion or not? So we're going to talk about identify. A proportion. That means either you're going to figure it out and you're going to say yes or no. Alright, so you're going to do a little math work here, and then at the end you're going to give me a little yes or no answer whether it's a proportion or not. Okay? So how you figure that out? How do you find out if it's a yes or no? Okay, so you are looking for this to be a true or false statement. You are looking for it to be a yes, and if it is a yes, the cross products will be equal. Okay? And if it's a no, okay, the cross products are not equal. Okay, so for it to be a yes, they've got to be equal. For it to be a no, they are not going to be equal. So you can put your little equal with a slash through it like that if you want to, saying that's a no. Alright, so of course before you figure out cross products, that means you got to have a couple of ratios, right? So you got to have a couple of ratios to actually compare and see how it works. So let's say we've got this pair. So let's say one of the ratios is 2/3, maybe 2 out of every 3 teeth. 2 out of every 3 teeth. You got 2 out of every 3 teeth in your mouth had a cavity. Wouldn't that be awful? 2 out of every 3 teeth. And let's say this one, the other one we're going to compare it to is 12 out of 20. And maybe in somebody else's mouth, 12 out of every 20 teeth had a cavity. Holy smokes. All right. Anyway, so we've got two ratios here. We're going to compare them and find out if they're a proportion or not. And by getting the cross products, we will figure out if they're a proportion. All right. So here we go. So we're going to do a little cross multiplying, get a little cross product here. So 3 times 12, of course, is 36. So that's one product. And then if we do the other side, we have got 2 times 20 as our cross multiplying problem here. And 2 times 20 is 40. So my question to you, smart people out there in smart people land, does 36 equal 40? And that is a no. So those would not be proportional because they're cross products of 36 and 40 are not equal. Okay, 36 is not equal 40, so that there is a no. Let's try another one. All right, so this time let's say we've got these ratios. We have got 1/3 and 3/9. 1 out of every 3 people brushed their teeth this morning. Maybe in the other class, 3 out of 9 people brushed their teeth. Is that going to be a proportion? Now you may be able to go ahead and look at that and say yes, but we're just going to make sure we find the cross products and make sure. So here again, we would say 3 times 3. Of course, the product of 3 times 3 is 9. Here we got 1 times 9, which is also 9. So does 9 equal 9? That's a yes. Okay, so those two ratios right there, 1/3 and 3/9, they would be proportional. So the same amount of people in each class brushed their teeth. All right, now I'm going to give you one to try real fast. See what you can figure out here, okay? Would it be a yes or a no? All right, let me try this one. How about, I'm going to make it a little harder. We'll put some decimals in there. 2.1 over 3.5, and then 3 over 7. All right, so we get to review a few little decimal work here, a little decimal work. So, cross multiply, get your cross products. So we're going to do this one first. Everybody and their brother ought to be able to multiply by 3. 3 times 3.5, so 3 times 5, 15. Carry my 1, 3 times 3, 10, that's 10. Now, since there is one decimal place after the decimal, that means I've got to put the decimal there, so I got 1. So that'd be 10 and 5/10 as the product, okay? All right, same thing here. We're going to do 2 1/10 times 7. So 7 times 1, of course, is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. We got one number after the decimal, okay, reviewing that. So if you got one number after the decimal here, you got to put it in the product. So R 10 and 5/10 and 14 and 7/10 equal. Well, that there is a no, son. So those would not be proportional, okay? Those two ratios would not form a proportion because their cross products are not equal. All right, so hopefully that explains that to you. So that's how you figure out if you've got two ratios, if they're a proportion or not, okay? So we'll move on from there. Now we're going to find and solve some proportions. So you can make a little line here on the paper. All right, you can make that noise too if you want to. Probably can't make it as good as I can though. All right, so the question is, we're going to solve each proportion. Okay, now when you solve a proportion, that means there's going to be a variable in there. There's going to be an x, a y, an n, or something, and of course that means you're going to figure out what that missing part is. All right, so if you're watching this video and you're actually listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth, this is where you can use a calculator to help you with some of these. Now I'm going to do some hopefully that we don't have to use a calculator for, but there are going to be some of them that we can use a calculator for, and that's okay. So you're still going to show some work, and I'm going to show you how to do that even while you're using a calculator. You can still show your work, okay? So whether you're using your cell phone or whatever, still show your work. All right, so let's start with this one first. Let's say that we've got A over 25 as our first ratio, and that is an A. And then our other ratio is 52 out of 100, which of course we would normally say that would be 52%, because all numbers over 100, you can always say that's a percentage, all right? So, again, we're going to use the cross product method, okay? Cross products. All right, so I'm going to do my cross product there, and I'm going to do my cross product there. This is actually going to get into some stuff about solving on one-step equation, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is do the one with the variable. So how much is 100 times A? 100 times A equals 100A. All right, just tag the variable on the end, just like we learned, the last couple of weeks when we were doing these with our integer stuff. Just put the variable on the end. Now the other one we're doing, of course, is 25 times 52. Now I don't know what 25 times 52 is right off the bat, so you might want to grab your trusty little calculator, and that's okay. If you want to multiply it out by hand, that is no problem. 25, I can't see that. 25 times 52 gives me a product of 1,300, okay? 1,300. Now, I want you to come up over here, and we're going to set up a one-step equation. This is where you show your work, people. You're going to say 100A equals 1,300. Okay, this is a one-step equation because it's got an equal sign in the middle of it. Okay, anytime you got an equal sign in the problem, it becomes an equation. That, of course, is multiplying. 100 times A equals 1,300. So the inverse of that would be dividing. See, I'm showing my work. If you divide 100 by 100, of course that at least cancels out and leaves you with A. If you do 1,300 divided by 100, that of course gives you an answer of A equals 13. So over here, if we wanted to write that correctly, we would put the 13 up there for A. 13 over 25 equals 15 out of 100, or not 15, 52 out of 100. So cross multiply, set up your little one-step equation. 100A equals 1,300. The inverse of multiplying is dividing. So just put your little line there, okay? Make it look like a fraction, because fractions are division problems. Divide by 100 over here. They cancel out because 100 divided by 100 is 1. So those cancel out. 1300 divided by 100 is 13. Now, let's do another one. This time I'll do this one a little bit swiftier. Okay? So this time, let's say we've got some that have some decimals in them. So let's say we've got 12.5 over m equals 15 over 7.5. Alright, so we're looking for m. Still going to use the cross product method. Okay? So first what I'm going to do is where the m is, the variable, 15 times m is 15m. Now, I'm going to come over here, 12.5 times 7.5. If you will multiply it out by hand, you feel more than happy to do it. Okay, I'm just going to do it right here, 12.5 times 7.5 on my trusty calculator. 93 and, oh, y'all can't see that. 93 and 75 hundredths, okay? 93 and 75 hundredths. 93 and 75 hundredths. So write down your equation. That's showing your work. Now again, this is multiply because there's no symbol. The inverse of multiply is divide. So that means I've got to divide over here by 15, and I've got to divide over here by 15. You always want to divide by the number that's with the variable. Like up here, we divided by 100 because that's with the variable. We're trying to get rid of that number and cancel it out. So here we're dividing by 15. 15 divided by 15, of course, that cancels out because that equals 1. So m equals, now 93 and 75 hundredths divided by 15. 93 and 75 hundredths divided by 15 is 6 1/4, okay? 6 and 25 hundredths, or you could write it as a fraction as 6 1/4 if you wanted to write it that way. So I'll write 6 and 25 hundredths, or 6 1/4. If you change that to a fraction, it would be 6 1/4. Okie doke. So again, get your cross products. In this case, we divided by 15 on both sides because 15 is the number that's with the variable. You always want to divide by that number because you want to cancel that out. And then 93 and 75 hundredths divided by 15 gives you 6 and 25 hundredths, or you could write it as 6 1/4. Same thing either way. Show your work. Show your work. Okay? Y'all saw me. I'm using the calculator. Right here it is. Okay? But I'm still showing my work right here. Alright, got time to do you one more, it looks like. So, before we get back to that little ditty I was playing earlier, I'm going to do one more, and then I got a little riddle for you. You ready? Here is number 7. I let you do this one on your own, okay? I am going to be quiet for just a minute and you figure it out. So I got C as my variable. C over 36 equals 9/15. Alright, so let's say 9 out of every 15 people had on tennis shoes. Okay, 9 out of every 15 people. So if I wanted to know, well, if there's 36 people in the other class, how many people should have on tennis shoes for these to be equal ratios, okay? So I give you just a few seconds. Let me play my little ditty. On your mark, get set, go. Okay, time's up. All right, so let's do it real fast. Here we go. So again, I'm doing cross products. I'm going to do 15 times C, which is 15C. Hey, that's exactly the same as the other problem. I've got the 15 in front of the variable. 36 times 9. All right, I would know 36 times 10 would be 360. So this is going to be a little less than 360. If you don't know, 36 times 9 is going to be a little less than 360. That's 324. Okay, so 36 times 9. 324. Hopefully you got that equation written down. What number do you divide by on both sides? the number that's in front of the variable because you're trying to cancel that out. So I'm going to divide by 15 on the left, just make it look like a fraction. Divide by 15 here. Do the same thing on the right, divide by 15. These 15s cancel out because 15 divided by 15 is 1. So you're canceling those out. Now 324 divided by 15, if you don't know what that is, 324 divided by 15, that gives you 21 and 6/10. So C equals 21 and 6/10. All right, so in review, real fast, cross product method is what you need to use to figure out if it's a yes or a no. If they have equal cross products, like this one, it's a yes. If they don't have equal cross products, like these two, then they cannot make a proportion. That will be a no. So yes, they are. No, if they are not. Down here, make sure you show your work, okay, by setting up the little equations, again using the cross product method, and then divide each side by the number that's in front of the variable. So here we divided by 100, here we divided by 15, here we also divided by 15. Okay, so here is your riddle if you'd like to try this today. I have no doors, but I have keys. I have no rooms, but I have space. You can enter, but you can't leave. What am I? All right. I have no doors, but I have keys. I have no rooms, but I have space. You can enter, but you can't leave. What am I? Also, if you know this little ditty right here, you can send me the name of the song and the artist and get you some points for that. Let's keep it fun, people. Make sure you click on that PDF. Make sure you fill out that quiz form. And let me know if you got questions. Okay. Set up and solve those proportions, people. We're going to be doing this for a little bit as we get ready to go into some proportional relationships. Hope you have a great day. Ciao for now, baby. That's French. Parlez-vous français? Ciao, baby.